All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Commando Blog Podcast. My name is Don. I am joined here by my faithful co-host, Guardbro.
Faithful in mind and body.
Yes. And we have another special guest here with us tonight. We have Lardagus from AK Scans. Although I just introduced you technically, why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, my name's Lardagus. I'm a typesetter, editor, and a good old PR shill. So that's really
At least you're self-aware, I guess.
He's rehearsed that one, I could tell.
it's actually how I do emails. That's exactly how I end every email. So
Oh, nice. All right. So we're here tonight to talk a little bit about, of course, what you do in the community, and of course, some upcoming projects, some current projects, and just overall what's going on in anime and manga within the Commando realm, I suppose. Of course, this podcast is going to be like a holiday podcast in a sort of way for those who are going to watch it in the future. It's kind of like maybe we'll make it a little bit Christmas oriented. I don't know, or holiday oriented. We'll figure it out. But yeah, no, this is our first podcast in a long time. I think the last one was like maybe a Halloween podcast. So like we kind of like do like these very far apart streams that aren't really coherent, but it just works. Anyhow, aside from all that, Lardagus. So, what's something that within AK right now you'd like to talk about first? What would you think is first on the menu for discussion?
well, I mean, obviously, people who care want to know about what's going on. So I guess the biggest thing would probably be our what do you call it? Our winter operations we do. It's something I've started about 3 years ago. Try to push our staffers every Christmas season to get a whole bunch of chapters released at the same. Some years are good, some years weren't. This year, right now, at the current count before actual release is about 8 chapters of different series. It's not too bad, but I mean, yeah, they basically get them like they grind them out as quickly as they can, as good as they can, and if you want to show some of the title pages for some of them now, it's fine. There's some of them that we're working on right now.
Sure. This is the first one that you sent me. I believe it is in order here. What's this?
So that's a series that is called Shirinkai no Maki or Maki of Shirinkai. It's basically Girls in Panzer, but with planes. Except it's not about tournaments. It's about like gangs, kind of like all girl gangs. Does it make sense?
Huh.
Gangs.
Okay.
Like they have their little territories and they fight each other and for air supremacy of their areas, you know. And
It sounds a
it's
lot
actually
more intense than with
it's
the
I mean
gangs.
it's from the same guy who did a lot of the Girls and Panzer stuff, so obviously he's very well known.
Right.
Nothing says high school like gang wars and air superiority. Am I right? Am I right?
Really.
Yeah, it's
So,
certainly interesting.
Can you TLDR the main plot of this one, or is that too much to ask for, you think?
Well, let's see. The main plot of this particular chapter is because people have read it before. It's not really a big spoiler. It's not really a spoiler in the first place. You can just read it. But basically, it's known that there's some subversive elements in the school that are basically calling out people and causing mischief. So these people are trying to protect these basically like their school bus escorts. Essentially, they escort bombers and other types of those aircraft and their fighters to and from school instead of having to drive or whatnot. It's pretty fun. But yeah, this particular chapter is where they introduce a new baddie essentially, which is kind of like an American like gang. It's kind of hard to explain. Let me find another picture if I can.
What's a gang
So,
name? The A-bombs?
The Flying Sharks.
flying sharks.
Missed
Yeah.
opportunity.
So it's like the rival schools with the aircraft carriers in GUP. This is like rival gangs, but with different air forces, or
Pretty much,
okay,
different themes. Like there's like the Italian school that's way later down the line. This is only like volume 2, and the author actually finally ended the series as of 4 days ago in volume 15. So we have a lot of catch up.
Oh wow. Yeah, you definitely have your work cut out for you.
I really don't
We'll
think
be
people
busy for the next couple of
appreciate
years.
what typesetters do and all.
It's people like, oh, it's just putting things in a page. It's easy. It's not as easy. Like you can tell, like we have really expert cleaners because all that stuff, like the on that page and all those little sound effects, those originally were Japanese. Those weren't English. So they erased everything, redrew everything, and then me, because I was a typesetter in the series, would apply the fonts, make sure they look good, change different fonts. It's almost like art. You have to know what the mood is, and what font you need to use.
No, I wouldn't know.
I
Because
mean,
of shit.
yeah.
But let's see. I think folks need to know what the day of a typesetter is. So can you explain, like, when you wake up to when you go to sleep, and when you're working, what all do you do? Like, how do you spend your hours through your day as you create these pages so mooks who don't know how to learn Japanese can read them and enjoy them?
I mean, if I'm not wasting my time on other stuff in my life, usually I'll get in contact with whoever's working on this particular project. It could be myself and some other people, or even completely other people, and I'm just simply observing to make sure it's all going fine. But basically, I'll ask people for stuff like pages or whatnot. Either it's entire files full or just single pages, and we'll work on it. We'll try to set down a standardized list of what kind of fonts we want to use, because it's silly to use like Comic Sans for the dialogue and something else for something else.
Could you imagine?
God no.
Just all impact. Everything's impact.
Yeah, see, it's like, and we have to kind of figure it out. It's not always a kind of a committee thing. A lot of times it's very individual based. So some people's typesetting is a lot different than mine. I prefer to have certain things in mind that people don't have in theirs. And, it's series by series, depends. But, I just boot up Photoshop essentially and just get the work. Depending on the quality of the page and the amount of text, the page can take me between a couple minutes and 50 minutes for one page once. That was a long time.
Right. Is the font that you use always constant, or is it changing? Is it the same thing all the time?
It depends. Like over the years, it has depend. Again, it's a lot of personal preference. Like I use a very common font called CC Wildwords. For Comic Craft, I believe the CC means. It's technically a paid font, but you can find it free anywhere you want.
Okay.
And that's mostly what I've used for dialogue for the past almost 2 years now, because it's thin enough that it fits into the bubbles, and it makes the fonts and the dialogues not too wide, because a lot of artists will draw very thin, narrow bubbles, because the Japanese a lot of times is read, not just left to right like we're normally used to it, but more like up and down. Yeah,
Oh,
so
right.
I know a lot of times there's one called Anime Ace 2.0 that a lot of folks use too.
that's the older font I used to use, but
Oh man,
yeah.
you're telling me you don't use Comic Sans? Come on.
Are you calling me a boomer? You're trying to tell me right now? You fucking
Here are the other
zoomers
pages
and
I
your
just
fancy new comic stuff. Yeah.
So when you have, of course, sometimes when it comes to Japanese characters or any other, and by characters I mean, of course, the text or the letters and such, whatever you call it, it doesn't always fit the same way. Sometimes something that's long will be short in English. Something that's short in Japanese could be long in English. Is that correct or no?
Yeah. Sometimes you'll get like a translator who translates a sentence, and I've had this happen before, and it's not a big deal sometimes, but it's like two characters, and somehow they take those two characters and make entire like 20 words or something like that. And I always had to go back and like, hey, how did this even happen? But yeah, no, the font sometimes, yeah, it will happen where the fonts are the dialogue's too big, honestly, for the bubbles. You'll see that if I post some other stuff later. In a certain series that people are going to pester me about. I already know it, so I'm already heading that off on the pass.
Oh boy.
But yeah, no, it just depends. Sometimes you got to make the font smaller, and then it's like reading a book. And sometimes you got to make the font super big just to fill the bubble to make it justified to even put a.
Yeah.
Well, it's because, when it comes to English, we can't draw a small house and have that be, a whole sentence.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I see what you just posted here. Are they really like full on Navajo battle paint? Really?
Well, their leader is. I mean, they're kind of like American caricatures. They're kind of like one of them's a cowboy,
so,
kind of cowgirl. It's just
so,
they're like a rough and tumble American, kind of like they're not really a school. Well, I guess they are a school. It's still as you guys read it. I'm also kind of learning the lore because I don't know Japanese. I do everything else but Japanese translations.
it just says Chief of the Flying Shark, the fucking Navajo sitting in the cockpit. I'm fucking dying.
That's really something.
How do you fly so fast?
Oh no.
I'm sorry.
No, that's good.
So, in terms of man hours, what do you think a single page takes in terms of redrawing, going in and erasing things, make it fit, redoing chat bubbles? How many hours of manpower do you think it takes to get one page out?
Again, it's variable. Some pages are, oh, you erase one word, two words, that's it. That it's done. Next page. And then you have big spreads like that page that the first page I posted for you. That took well because I didn't do it myself. We have a very talented guy who's down in Mexico who does great work, and he's like the backbone of our. He does a majority of the what they call cleaning, which is removing fonts, removing cleaning stuff, redrawing pages if he has to. And yeah, he's God, I need to find a page to show comparison between the two. I think it's a good idea. Let me do.
Sure.
I can't not just everyone can see it. Look, she's got like a bone necklace and shit. Like, is this how the Japanese see us? Or all those fucking goddamn Native Americans running around?
I particularly this series. I don't know. It's just kind of a whatever.
Yeah, I think it's a neat nod, if that's what they're going for, because there is that interesting bit about
the
them
Federals
kinda
won't like
wearing...
this.
Yeah, yeah.
So the P-40 Warhawks, huh? Probably why they call the Flying Tigers.
I'm gonna bet they're kind of based off of early war American doctrine stuff like that.
Yeah, early war doctrine of America. Cover it in 50 cals. Hope it dies. I assume the shark necklace is maybe part of the flying tiger thing. Yeah, I assume so.
Yeah,
It's got
Tiger
little
shark.
wings on it.
No.
Oh, don't you dare! There's not enough rum. There's not enough rum in this tea to help out with those kind of puns.
all right. I just posted there. There's that last page I posted of the set, and those are the same page, but one is what I've done to it versus what the original was. And this is without color correction. Like the color correction, these pages are digital raws, so their colors aren't really as adjusted as other raws you might see later on show up. But um, sometimes the colors you have to adjust as well. You think, oh, it's black and white. You'd be surprised.
Huh? He's probably he had to redraw a lot of that shit then, didn't he?
Yeah, he does. Especially like over the wing over there and the hair, and it's just. And it's not like I'm covering it up. It's like literally, if I took the wards off and kept it still, it's to a blank slate. It's like he redrew it 95% good. There's always that little 5% where it's like you kind of have to just cover it up and just shrug your shoulders.
I'm surprised that the Japanese don't get like super fucking TO when you go over here and like scroll over there. I assume they understand what's going on because not all of us can learn fucking 3 different writing styles. Absolute mad lads. But
So
like, have you ever had one of them contact you or something like that, or
like terms of like, hey, what are you doing? No, that's never happened. Also because scanlating is it's an interesting legal gray area. One reason why we don't take donations or anything or profits from any of this is because that's our way of staying on the quote unquote good side of the law.
on the up and up, eh?
Yeah, it's technically you could say, oh, this is parody or whatever, but realistically, this is technically what copyright infringement, whatnot, because you're posting these works somewhere else that's not theirs, blah blah blah.
Have you ever
I
had
mean,
them
I've
contact you
contacted
at all?
authors before, and some of them are like, "It's cool. I can't help you because of my contractual obligations, but it's cool that you guys are doing this." Some of them are like, "Whatever." And obviously, some of them get really PO'd, but none of the authors we deal with are like that. So that's good.
Right. I suppose that's the
Huh.
best you could hope for in terms of that type of reaction or response and this sort of thing.
Hmm.
Funny if
Yeah.
like they send you hate mail like all in Japanese, you're like, I can't read this shit.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, of course, I'm gonna say it like probably a few times throughout the stream, but it honestly is appreciated that you do this because uh, there really aren't many others or any others covering some of the series that you guys work on.
Yeah,
Well,
we do a lot more niche series. It's just how it is. We've just dedicated ourselves to military and all.
as I say, compared to like freaking Yuri romance novels of high school, the militarium niche is very, very small.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising because in other areas, I'm sure it's not small. It's small in maybe the relative side compared to other things, but uh, military and gun related like anime and manga is definitely popular. There's no doubt about it, but it is a niche in a weird way, perhaps in manga or the way that AK scans and you guys cater to uh, the fans of military inspired media such as this manga like this.
Yeah. It's again, it's just a it's honestly, as anybody should say, all this work is a passion project. It's a hobby. Anybody who makes money off of this stuff is, I personally detest those kinds of people.
Yeah, understandable, of course.
Especially the people who take artworks and post them on places like unnamed certain websites. Then they make ad revenue off of them, and
Oh,
they're making money off of our work, even though realistically our work is technically not kosher in the first place. So
You mean like Manga Park and all them?
yeah, pretty much anything
Yeah.
with an adjective, verb in manga. Yeah,
yeah,
An adjective verb.
I could definitely sympathize with that.
You are literally doing it for free.
we do it for free. Yeah,
This man is a hero amongst our people.
and I'm not taking all the credit. We have a great team of guys. It's over
Sorry.
20,
These men are heroes amongst our people. All right.
And
and
women.
women.
Yeah.
God damn it. These people are heroes amongst our people. All
People,
genders
come on, it's
included.
2019. I mean, well, it's almost 2020. Current
All
year.
Z's and Zers are heroes of our fucking whatever. I don't
There
care.
we go.
You get the
Good job,
point.
guard.
We're heroes. All right. We're there.
Yeah, he watched the employee training video. We're good. Onwards to. You mind if I put up the second one? The GUP?
That's fine.
Sure.
What's a gup?
One of the many GUPs. Okay, GUP is short for obviously girls and Panzer. It's the initials for. If you're a commando and don't know the series, I'm surprised at this point.
This
Yeah.
was the only series actually like I used to read this in my ASV in the turret on the farm, sitting there reading or watching Girls and Panzer, just for that pure ironic fucking anime shoulder rolls.
Yeah, that's poetic.
Yeah, you never lived and read Gup until you've been firing 40mm grenades while watching tanks roll around in the parade grounds.
So anyway, this series here, this is Girls and Panzer. It's kind of hard to translate in English because we've never found a perfect translation, but we just call it Fir Tree because the schools that are focused in this series is based on the Romanian school. I believe it's Count High. I believe is the Romanian.
Oh, so actually adding more and more schools now, is he?
Actually, they're not adding because technically, since the beginning of the series, there's been a bunch of other quote unquote minor schools that never won anything. And it's just been recent years that they've expanded on it and they're like, hey, let's use this material. We got a whole world here. Let's use it.
Right.
Gotta keep that gravy train rolling.
Yeah, that definitely was one of those things that was thought of from the beginning, where it's like we're world building here from the start. We might as well set up for this franchise to continue beyond. Who knows
Now,
what'll turn
the
into.
Romanians aren't on an aircraft carrier, are they?
Technically, all the schools have their own aircraft carriers, I believe, but some of them are poor enough that they don't. I believe this is one of the schools. I'm not for sure yet because again, the lore is I'm learning the lore as everybody else is learning the lore. When we translate an entire chapter, I'm learning a new thing about the series.
Very peculiar.
That's the one thing I never really understood, that they're all on aircraft carriers. Like they're not that big. Come on now.
Well, it's a world where technically war doesn't really exist. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. So they'd have sports for it, you know. But yeah, it's more like it's hard to explain why they're on aircraft carriers. I think there's some like supplemental material that you could look up, but it's like in Japanese and no one's translated it. And it's like 6 years old, and I'm too lazy to look for it.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think, yeah, now that I think about it, there is a lot of this supplemental media or prints out there, or like just full of just information and background that isn't attached to maybe the manga publication, so you don't really see it, and it's very hard to probably get a hand on it. Unlike some other things like official manga, of course, which actually I wanted to get to and figure out how
It's
you get
more condensed a lot of
Yes.
times, and they kind of cut out the extras because they see it's not as important, even though realistically to the reader, context is key.
Absolutely.
And so anyway, with this series, the Fir Tree series, as we call it, I think it's Fir Tree and Iron Winged Witch or something like that. They're Romanians. Basically, for this series right now, it's simply just it's kind of still in its beginning stages. So there's not a lot going on. They're just kind of fighting the American school Saunders, and this is kind of her back and forth, and lots of spiritualism in this series, which is kind of interesting for a Girls and Panzer spinoff.
Is it more like wholesome?
Yeah, I mean, all the Girls in Panzer, except for a certain one, which we're going to look at in a little bit, they're all pretty wholesome. There's nothing really,
Right.
weird or
Now-
disgusting.
When you said a certain one, I thought back to the one we all know and hate.
Nah,
I was like, whoa, hey,
no,
hey.
of course,
No,
we're
no.
sticking
I
to
mean,
canon
official
here.
spin-offs,
Canonical.
not things we're not going to talk about. No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're sticking to canonical. Yeah, although most all of it canonically is very wholesome. And when you mentioned that this one has a sort of a different feel to it, and like maybe spiritualism is involved, I do think it's cool when a spin-off series doesn't necessarily have the same feel as the original. It has its own kind of flavor. So
Yeah, it shows a lot of personality in each of the authors who choose to go ahead and make spin-off content of a series that they don't technically have never created, but they're like working on it as like a helper. Makes sense.
I have a weird question. Do the Japanese do the same scalation type stuff for American comics and manga and stuff? Like, do they translate it from English to Japanese?
Yes, they do. Yep.
Huh.
It's not a one-way street here. There's definitely plenty of groups in Japan who will take like The Simpsons and American comics and stuff like that, and they'll translate it just like
King
how
of the
I.
Hill.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
I bet they enjoyed the Japanese King of the Hill episode. I guarantee it.
I think they said it was a pretty popular series over there. I mean, it's not like a huge widespread like everybody's watching it. It's like just how we're reading
Right.
this stuff. It's on a website in the corner of the
And of course,
Bobby-san.
Oof.
and of course, not to make anybody in the comments re over the fact that we just mentioned like TV shows, like cartoons. Of course, some of the bigger media companies in Japan that are probably licensing over that media from the U.S., like the same way that you have publications and licenses from Japan come over here for like anime. For comics, of course, what we were mentioning originally was just normal people not involved in the industry necessarily taking American comics, scanning them and translating them the same way that manga might be scanned and translated and published online here.
Did you just
So.
explain what I said?
Well, no, it's more so it's more so like we were talking about cartoons, and cartoons like being dubbed or subbed most of the time are probably going to happen through like a larger media company. and not like just through the average individual. So instead of mansplaining, it's more like I just corrected you. So is that like worse?
Ooh,
Sorry, Don
No,
splaining.
I'm joking.
Don's playing. That's good.
Donsplaining. Yeah, well we'll stick with that.
Don't tread on me, Don. Don't tread on me.
No step.
No step on guard.
Should I move on to the next one?
Of course.
Yeah, this series is still kind of in the beginning, so it's fun if you want to keep
It
moving
looks
through.
interesting because the one with the little radio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like is it about like a radio girl? Like what's going on here?
So I only post really like the title pages because it's easy for me to kind of get interest. But this series is actually like what the generic term of a izakaya kind of, where it's like, oh hey, you're teleported to another. So this series is interesting. This is brought about by one of our European guys, and he's been working on it for a while. It's his passion project. I'm just helping him mostly make sure it's clean.
Oh, sweet.
Basically, what happens is, okay, classroom full of girls, and then suddenly a fox appears in the middle of the classroom, and everybody's like, "What?" And then the fox starts talking, and everybody's like, "What?" And the fox turns into a girl, which everybody's just like, "Who? What the fuck?" But yeah, no, and then they're all teleported to this an alternate Earth or something like that, and they're all donned in like World War II era like uniforms, and essentially it's an izakaya, except they all become like infantry in this World War II esque army against like Nazi zombies, literally.
I'm digging that summary right there.
So it's Call of Duty?
Revive me,
Oof.
bro. I have ray gun. Oh, it's so bad. I don't know why I made that joke. Cut that. I'm gonna cut that out.
Really?
Anyway, sorry to interrupt you there. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's fine. It's so basically, and it's kind of like their reactions, like, okay, what are we doing? Why are we here? All that, and they're slowly learning about the world and having to defend themselves, and like a lot of the people aren't like a normal isekai where they're all like, oh hey, let's all go and do things. Half of them are like, we don't want to do anything. We're scared. Don't touch us. Go away. Kind of. So it's kind of fun. It's interesting to see how like people are like reacting to a situation. You have the leaders and the followers and such. Trying to find a page to add on to this. I should have added more pages, honestly, but it's okay.
Yeah, no problem. Sort of an off the cuff thing. But while you do that, yeah, you mentioned you have a lot of people working in the AK scan stuff.
yeah.
What is the actual? Do you have like a number? Like, is there a solid estimate or a number of people that are maybe on and off or something like that?
I could look at my server. Give me 1 second.
Sure. Yeah,
Why
there's
are you
the
brave
convenience.
enough to tell us about them?
There's
anyway?
about, let's see, 20.
Are you brave enough?
About 30 people, plus or minus a couple who are on and off. So
The whole fucking platoon in there, Jesus.
Yeah,
Platoon!
that's a decent size.
I mean, some people are active, some people are not that active. It's just how it is. It's a
They're called
free group of
specialists.
on.
Yeah.
Mafia, what up?
Oof.
Yeah, it's very
But,
similar here with TKB, and I mean that in a
you-
good way.
He's talking about me mostly. But can you describe your team like not like in name? That'd be I don't want to like bring one out to the forefront. But can you describe your
Like
fellow...
the roles and like what
Yeah.
like each department does and such. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
and how cute their feet are? You know that kind of stuff.
That's for later. But no.
Fuck.
But yeah, no, we have a bunch of people. We have our kind of a core group of people who consists of mostly just the translators and the typesetters and the expert cleaner I told you about earlier. He's like we're kind of like a core group, I would assume, or as surmise, I would say. And we we do a lot of the heavy lifting, more the intense series, like the bigger girls and Panzer stuff, Upate, stuff like that. But then there's other people, and then there's different roles. We have cleaners, typesetters, editors, who kind of people like me. Essentially, I'm like one of the only real active editors, in my opinion, who like will go through all the series after they're pretty much ready to go and make sure everything's correct in them. No hiccups, no visual errors, no spelling errors, etc. We have proofreaders, editors, as I said, translators, just a whole bunch of people. people who get the raws, they'll buy books and either find the raws online, or they'll physically scan them in. They'll buy books and scan them in, cut whatever they need to do for that.
You wouldn't download a book, would you?
Yes, I would.
Who are the most active? Like who are the star players that you feel like saying these guys are always the ones who are going in and doing things, like fucking high speed motherfuckers in your group?
It's hard because there's every kind of, I guess you could say, department, because we are boiled down to teams based on series, as well as everybody's kind of classified as what their job is. So it's that we can swap them out as needed if we need to. If someone goes away for a while, we can get someone else. It's kind of hard because everybody's put in a good amount of work over the years. I don't want to toot my own horn and say I'm one of the people who do a lot, because I don't. I like the translating and the cleaning are some of the hardest lifting in the entire group. And I used to do cleaning myself, and I just haven't had time to do it as much anymore. But yeah, like those guys do a lot of the heavy lifting. Honestly, I can't say any one group. It's everybody. Everybody does hard work, and I can't really just say one person does the best, because it's not fair in my opinion.
Yeah, good deal. That's actually the answer I was kind of hoping for, and I assumed that's how it was. So that's really good to hear. And of course, I did put up the second page, or the extra page you mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's in this series there's elements of comedy, elements of drama, just like a lot of the series we do. It's not just a simple 100%, or it's a romance, or it's a drama, or it's edgy, or it's cutesy. We get a lot of series that have dynamic content.
Yeah, because if you stick with one thing, it can get boring, and you kind of want to do something else. It's good to stay varied, have varied work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Let's see.
We can move on to the next.
Yeah. I can see some people are getting impatient. They want to see the one that starts with G. So let's keep.
Give me the thing for free you do for free.
And some of these other series I'll be able to go over a bit quicker, just because it's just a simple update to a series. It's not like it's a huge update for a lot of these. Some of these series, like, we'll do an entire chapter, and plot wise nothing really happens. It's funny. Some chapters you do, and it's like a paradigm shift where something like amazing happens, a cliffhanger, something amazing. And then you have chapters which are like what they call filler more often than not, and they're kind of like, oh, it's a funny little side story, but it doesn't affect anything.
Grenades don't go ping. All I'm saying.
I'm sure that was more of a direct translation there, so it's correct.
Mm-hmm. That was a lot bigger than I thought.
There's always a critic.
All right, so this series here is another Girls and Panzer spinoff, because it literally almost 50% of the series we do is a Girls and Panzer or Girls and Panzer spinoff. So if I'm showing you half of these series here, which is like 6 or 7 series, and half of them are Girls and Panzer, it's just how it is. That's what our group does. We're known. Anyway,
you gotta defend yourself, guy. Calm down.
Believe me, you'd be surprised. But anyway, this series is Saga Pravda, or I like to call it Pravda Senki, because it's kind of like Yojo Senki, which is another series we used to do until Redditors took it over and made it terrible. But who cares? Okay, that's a different story. No, it's just basically we worked on it, and then a bunch of people were impatient with us. They started doing it themselves. Then they do it quicker, but it's worse quality. Does it make sense?
Right. Yeah, that's expected.
We focus more on quality over quantity, so like
what you're saying,
that's why
you're America and they're China, is what you're trying to tell me right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Reddit sweatshop coming in hard.
But anyway, this series is just another side story kind of thing. It's kind of like a quote unquote prequel for the Soviet themed school, Prav. And this is basically the beginnings of the main character of that school, which is Katusha. It's kind of how she grows from a kind of conniving little girl into a more conniving little girl later on. So it's great. It's great.
This does look great. Yeah, a lot of these I'm like, as we're talking, I'm adding them to my backlog, which I'll probably never get to, but hopefully hopefully I do.
Yeah. And a quick shout out, this as a little quick adder. If you guys ever wanted to read these series, all these things I'm posting now will be posted Christmas Day. So that's my plan. Is we're gonna do a big old dump on the AK threads on K, and we're gonna have like as many series as I can put on there. Like I'll have to do 2-3 threads. I don't care. Mods be damned. You
Santa Lardagus is gonna come through. That's
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Yeah.
Leave
Yeah,
out
very
your
good.
Cosmoline and cookie. Lardagus is coming.
And then if you guys missed those threads or you want to read the older issues of all these series, a great website which we post to a lot is Manga Dex, which is kind of founded by people from G after Baltoto died a long time ago. Kind of G, but not really, like half Reddit, half G. It's kind of weird. They're a pretty good website to go to, like no ads, and it's pretty easy and convenient to use. So if you ever want to go on there, almost all of our series are on there.
Sweet. I'll probably add that or even the specific links to the what you mentioned in the video description after the stream. Okay.
Anyway, yeah. So Bravo Senki, pretty easy. This is just their Katusha in this particular chapter is like she's trying to trick all the older students to believe that she's an idiot when she's really a conniving tactician, and she's trying to kind of like slowly subvert herself into the Shadow organization and basically take it over from the inside out.
That is some interesting character development.
She's a very like out of all the girls in Panzer characters, she's probably this series shows her as one of the most tactical but conniving people, like cloak and daggers kind of stuff. She's definitely one of those people.
I love it.
All right, you can go to the next one if you want. The next one's actually one of the raw pages that we do. It's the series that again almost all the commandos should know. It's of Upate. It's of chapter 102, I believe. It's the header for it. I mean, it says 101 on there, but it's actually 102. Don't ask. But basically, it's not translated yet, so I can't tell you too much. But basically, it's getting towards the end of the massive arc that they're on right now, where they're fighting the Red Steel School.
Right.
And that's I'm not gonna post any more pages because if I do, it's gonna spoil a lot for this chapter. Yeah. So all you need to know is the girl on the page there is a very integral part of this chapter.
Very
Maybe
cool.
they'll spoil how rifles can hold themselves. That'd be nice.
Oof.
I refuse to like acknowledge that. No, that's not how matter works.
Also, this is just an extra. Swiss, go to bed. Anyway,
Swiss, go to bed.
You need to build watches later and mine that Swiss gold.
You need to build watches later. Is that what he said?
Maybe.
Go build your watches and count your gold. Mountain Dwarf.
Mountain Elf. Correction.
Sorry, Mountain Elf. Correct.
But
that
anyway,
is a creepy fucking face, man.
Are we finally here?
this is one of the other raws that I have right now, but the series is almost ready for going as well. This is if you thought all the other Girls in Panzer series were not, this one is not so much.
Is her hair a croissant?
It's a weird bun thing. The hairstyles are so wacky. I can't even tell anymore, honestly.
You're so crispy.
But basically, that's of Girls in Panzer Ribbon Warrior. And then here's what everybody's been waiting for. This will also drop on Christmas. It's Groundless, Chapter 21. The title is very apt right now, honestly.
This is pretty exciting. I've been looking forward to reading this, and unfortunately, you'd think I would do my homework before a stream and read up to the point of everything that was mentioned so far, but I haven't. So this is more of like, hey Don, you should probably look at this stuff now that the stream is gone. We already talked about it. I'm just supposed to say, oh cool, this looks interesting. I should read this throughout the
I
entire
too
thing.
love mango.
I
Yeah,
too,
sure.
I too love mangoes, and yeah. So
So this series is obviously Groundless. This is my pet project. This has been mine since the beginning. I've mostly done most of the work on it, except for obviously translating, and more recently I haven't done the cleaning because, my God, the artwork has gotten better and better, but it also means it's more and more work.
Yeah.
wow, and it
But
already looked really good from the few pages I skimmed in chapter 1. Like the amount of detail and shading, and it just looks amazing.
Mhm. And this series is this is basically the general premise of the series is there's an island nation that is a colony of a massive nation. It's just kind of that's all there's not really any rhyme or reason. So, and this island has their local inhabitants. It has people from other countries. It has the colonizers, and because of all this friction and race and culture and all that, there's a civil war breaks out. And the main character, Sophia, of the series, is a wife of a weapons merchant. They're part of a little town, a pretty decent sized town that's like a known for making weapons and military arms and stuff like. Um, and then bad things go south. Bad things happen, I should say. And basically, she's out on a quest for revenge because of things that have happened to her because of the war. And it goes up and down, and the author definitely does not lightly show all the gruesome uh, scenes in the series because it's more realistic about what a war, especially a civil war, would be looking like. And there's other elements that are in the plot, like disease and stuff that they've touched on in the beginning and they haven't talked about yet. But I think it's because this arc is so long that they're focused on this. And unfortunately, with this chapter, this is the end of volume 5, I believe I'm on right now at this point, 4 or 5. I'll remember later. It's we post chapter numbers and stuff as well, but it's going to end this just volume, but the next volume is still a part of the same arc. So we're not going to end this entire arc until like almost 2.5 volumes, which is a lot for a arc.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And yeah, she's a sniper. It's great. I don't know. It's such a weird series that it's very well drawn. It's interesting. The characters are interesting, and it's I just want to keep doing it. Honestly, it's and far as I know, it's still coming out in Japan. They're on volume 7, 8 at this point, so we're not too far behind. But
The art style reminds me of an older, well, actually still going on manga, where it's about this clerical worker in the army who does all the paperwork and stuff for like supplies and all that. It's got a very similar art style to it.
is it called was it Bullets and Stamps or Guns and Stamps or
Yes,
something like that?
that's what it is. Yeah, it's about one of the army workers who works in supply. She's literally like a sergeant in a goddamn supply shop, and it fucking tickles me senseless. But it's got that same like characteristic art style to it. It just fucking tickles me to death. And it's got a pretty interesting story to it too. It follows the same vein as your mentally tortured female protagonist and all that, but actually adds like an actual element of like you actually get why she's being mentally tortured. You actually understand what she's going through.
Yeah,
Which is kind of rare to find in the world of shit manga we live in.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, and you would describe this as probably a more gritty realization, like of war sort of thing, right?
Yes, this is probably out of everything we've done so far, in my opinion, is probably the closest to, in terms of not just like what's portrayed, but like tactics, actions, for planning. It's out there. Like it's very well presented in the series, which is again why I love it so.
And it's definitely the rounds by the rifle look like Irrgesplitten because like they got that tiny ass body and that thick ass like shell casing.
So the only thing that the series doesn't do good is some of the weapons are kind of weird. This is one of them. The weapon she uses, the weapon she uses is a like very very custom built like marksman sniper rifle. Like it is from the ground up custom everything. So it uses specialty ammunition and these weird curved stripper clips. She's only ever shown her using it like once or twice in the beginning of the series, and I think they mostly kind of forgot about that and is worried about the action more. But
It's like a
it's
Mary Sue clip, so it can fit underneath the scope. It rotates in, so
yeah,
you can put the
exactly,
scope on.
exactly.
Yeah. Mind you, it sounds plausible? Question mark. But you know, I get where his head was at, and it's kind of fun seeing Mangaka think that far ahead. Like, wait a minute, the scope here. Fuck. Stripper clips, but it's bananas. Banana clip? He just did his best, I think.
I don't know. I mean, it's just how the series is. It's the weapons are interesting, practical. I don't know, but interesting. Yes, they're like snipers interesting. They have a squad automatic machine gun later on that uses like belts, kind of like almost like an MG34, but the drum is like underslung rather than on the side, and it's some machine guns are kind of like it's hard to explain. Those are more like those French, like the early World War II submachine guns. So
Actually, it looks like the Italian machine, the Italian SMGs is what it reminded me of when I first saw it.
yeah, that's kind of a cross between those. It's kind of it's if you said someone, hey, make a sniper rifle, hey, make a submachine gun. It's that's what this series is. It's not so much grounded in reality like the earlier series with the girls in the classroom and the Izakaya kind of series. The weapons in that series, they're definitely more period correct. Like they're M1s, there's 1911s, that kind of stuff. Like it's drawn very detailed and realistic. But this series is a bit more it plays if it can.
Awesome. Is that everything we wanted to talk about tonight? Or was there anything else we wanted to add here? I forget if there was like a chapter 2 to the maybe a volume 2 in the future.
I mean, that's probably going to happen later down the road. Again, we're more focused on getting this stuff done.
Yeah.
About 6 to 8, maybe at the most 10. This winter operation, which was oh god, what was it even called? Let me go. We have a wiki, by the way, if you guys didn't know. You can add that as well. It's the AK Scans wiki.
Sweet.
But yeah, that's where we post primarily all of our materials. We'll post links directly, so you don't have to even go to a website and download. You can download the files for yourself. There's information kind of on there. There's something about wiki editors not doing a job, but it's okay. I'll yell at them.
I want you all to know that you're doing a fantastic job and that people do appreciate what you do. All right. You guys get a lot of shit in the AK threads. The shit y'all shouldn't get because you guys aren't being paid to do this shit.
Yeah.
Even though you really, really should be.
It's at least it's not as bad as if we went to A. A actually banned us. We can't even go on A anymore.
Really?
Essentially.
What?
It's because the mods were angry about generals. If you remember that whole thing a long time ago.
Right.
And they saw the AK thread as a quote unquote general, which was. I'm not saying that they're wrong, but like they're wrong.
The Great Cuckening. I remember that one.
So I mean, I still sometimes pop my head into the girls and Panzer threads and dump some stuff for them, but mostly I've stayed on K at this point because the mods they're fine with it, and people who are like anime doesn't belong in K doesn't belong in 4chan.
Why do you have anime here? God, where do you think you are?
Yeah, they've been arguing about it for God knows how long now.
Perhaps maybe in the future it might be a alternative. Who knows?
Maybe.
Big thunks on this channel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, really, but we do appreciate what you do. You and your team.
Yeah,
for
sure.
You, your team, and your sexy feet.
Oh.
Again, that's for later.
Add that bit in there. Yeah, that's for later.
Shh, that's for later.
Lardagus, was there anything else you wanted to add here? Or
I'm looking. I might as well plug for us as well. If
Sure.
Anybody who watches this in the future or whatnot wants to come and help us out, we're always willing to welcome people. We're a very open door kind of people. if you guys want to come in and help and leave after like 2 days, it's fine. We don't really have a stringent you're with us or against this kind of thing. It's more just like volunteer work essentially, as I like to see it.
Yeah.
We're mostly looking for translators. Obviously, it's always a premium because those guys would rather probably be paid for their work, but we got plenty of people who like to volunteer. Translators, cleaners, people who are expert at doing Photoshop work will be appreciated. Typesetters even. Really don't need proofreaders, but I mean, if you're really good at it, I can't say no. It's just the more people we have, the more we can put out. But we still hold ourselves to our mission of cute girls doing cute things while operating operationally, kind of thing.
Speaking
But
of
in a quality.
Lardagus, if you saw yourself as a waifu, what would you look like?
Oh god, that's so hard, man. Maybe like Sicario, the one guy with the mustache and the
Oh
glasses and the
yeah.
I actually look almost like him down to the mustache. So kind of like that, but like a more relaxed version of that. Does it make sense?
Not at all, but I'll do my best.
Very simple, not like overly. I don't know. That would be me. But you said,
Yeah.
wait, you said if I want to be a waifu?
Don't worry about it. Anyway, we
You,
really do
you,
appreciate
I know you do something. You could figure it out. You could talk more about it later if you want.
but we do appreciate what you do. So always keep that in mind when you're working for free, doing it for free, being a hero for free.
Yeah, we appreciate this. We appreciate the support, by the way. I mean, and we love it when people read our stuff. I love it when people comment. It's fun. But at the end of the day, I do this mostly for just providing more material to the world. Comments and stuff are fun and all. Readers are fun and all, but it's fun. That's all I'm gonna say.
Look at the video comment section.
Oh yeah. Completely neglected that. My bad.
I mean, you guys are saying don't draw me, but he drew the guard drew the Groundless picture there. I don't think, did I ask you for that or did you just do it? I don't remember.
I think I got drunk and you said, "Hey, do a thing." I was like, I'll do a thing."
Freaking, actually, I sent that to the author, right? He liked it.
Oh,
He
nice.
did he?
Yeah, he said it. I mean, the thing is, it's hard for me speaking of authors sometimes because like a lot of them don't know English or they don't know conversational English whatsoever, so it's very hard to communicate with these people. So that's kind of broken English. Sometimes I have to translate it or get someone to translate for me, and it's fun, but I would love to meet more authors, but I also feel bad because I'm like, oh hey, I'm here. I'm technically quote unquote kind of, but not really stealing your work. Like me, it's kind of hard.
Hi,
It's kind of like hi, don't meet your heroes, that kind of thing. So that's how I kind of see it.
That's
Yeah.
funny. Hi, I'm the guy who steals your work. I'm a big fan. All right. Good stream. Good
Absolutely.
stream.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
fun.
you very much, Lardagus, for joining us, and of course, thank you, Guard, for your co-hostiness as always. This was the Commando Blog Podcast, the AK Scanlation edition. Oh, we're back. Well, anyway.
Take two.
Yep, take two. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for watching the Commando Blog Podcast. This was the AK Scanlation edition of the podcast with Lardagus. If you enjoyed what you saw here and you want to join us in a future stream, hit subscribe and ring that notification bell, all that, cringy stuff. This was our cringe stream. Just check us out on commandoblog.com. Our social media is all linked over there, so I'm not going to just repeat myself again. And if you want to join us on our Discord server, that's also linked on our website, and probably going to be in the video description below. I'm also going to link the AK server, if that's okay, and all your other stuff possibly related to your release on Christmas. And yeah, so this was the Commando Blog Podcast, probably the last major podcast before the end of the year, and see you in 2020. Thank you very much.
Send all feet pictures to Don's email box. He always
All
right, good
Makes
night.
you forward them.